Hi, a little story about Jack and Diane. Well, actually, that's a whole different story. No, this is a little story about Marc and Diane. And actually, it's a story about the time that Diane pranked Marc. First, we need some context. We're in the early 90s, and I mean early. It's 1990, 1991, somewhere around that. And we're just starting out our new college, our French language college in Ottawa. It was La Cité Collégiale. Diane was an administrative assistant and she worked right at the entrance of our department. So one day as I'm walking into the department, Diane flags me down. She calls me over and says, "Marc, Maurice just called, Maurice the director. He just called and you're supposed to be in a meeting. He wants you to be there. It's in the boardroom up on the 3rd floor of the A building." So I kept going to my office, set down my things because I'd just finished teaching a class, got my wits together and headed up to the boardroom. Now, what Diane didn't know is I headed out the back door. So I'm on my way, I'm heading to the boardroom, and I get to the president's secretary's desk, and she said, "Oh, sorry, there's a meeting in progress." And I tell her, "Don't worry, I'm expected," and I walk on in. So as I enter the boardroom, I spot my director sitting over at the back, and there's a place next to him. He acknowledges my presence with a nod. I nod back and head on over and sit down beside him. Once sitting down, I scan the room and I nod to the president, the vice presidents, the deans, and all the other directors. This was one very serious, high-level meeting. I mean, all the top brass was there. And I was really curious to know why I had been called up. And I kept on asking myself why I was there right up to the end of the meeting, about 45 minutes later. At the end, well, everyone got up, shook hands, and went on their merry way. I walked back to the department with my director, chatting politely, never asking the question that was heavy on my mind, was why I was there. So we make it all the way back to the department and say good day. And then I turn and I see Diane sitting at her desk, white as a sheet and obviously deeply perturbed. And that's when Diane, almost with a tear in her eye, told me, "Marc, I'm so sorry. I thought you were going to leave through the front of the department. I would have told you." And that's when it hit me. I wasn't supposed to be at that meeting. It was a joke. And that was the funny thing. What started out as a joke ended up being a prank on me. But since it worked so perfectly well, Diane was even more upset than I was. I wasn't upset at all. But she was upset because she thought I'd made a fool of myself in front of all of the high brass of the school. And that was the beauty of the whole thing. The unwitting prankster managed to pull off a phenomenal prank, but ended up pranking herself even more. I think that could be called the ultimate prank. Now that things worked out the way they did, well, it's pretty amazing. What's even more amazing is that no one in the meeting mentioned or even thought that I wasn't supposed to be there. Why? Well, because I was sure that I was supposed to be there, and I looked like I was supposed to be there, and no one questioned that. And from that, I learned a lesson that helped me a lot in my career. And that is that if you look like you're supposed to be somewhere, most people will accept that you are supposed to be there. In other words, if you want to go places in life, look like you want to. Be determined in your approach, and it'll help you on your way. Well, Diane, Christmas is in it is in 7 days. And I know I'm going to see you today because I'm going to the Christmas lunch at the college where all the retired staff is invited every year, so I'll see you there. But I wanted to give you a special present. Now, when this happened years and years ago, I promised you that one day I would prank you, and that day would come on the day that I found a better prank than the one that you pulled on me. Well, Diane, I take back that promise, and that's part of the Christmas present that I want to give you. I don't think that I will ever be able to figure out a better prank than that one, because you pranked me and you managed to prank yourself, and it was unwittingly. I mean, how much better than that can you get? And I also promise that I'll stop telling everyone that your last born is the fruit of our extramarital carnal adventures. So thank you, Diane, for those great memories. I'm talking about the prank, I'm not talking about the carnal relations. And to everyone, well, that is the story of the week. Happy machining!